Hello and welcome to the Ironvor CoachCast Episode 1 with myself, Alan, and my client here, Benny, my friend and client. Now today, being Episode 1, we thought we'd do a bit of an introduction. My friend Benny here has decided to make the change and jump into carnivore diet for health reasons and fitness reasons, mostly health. So yeah, Benny, why don't you introduce yourself, mate, and tell us why you've come to me for coaching.
Thanks for taking me on, mate. Full of enthusiasm at the moment, but I'm sure there will be times when my enthusiasm wanes, and I suppose that's why you need a good coach that knows you well and can keep you motivated through the tough times. Yeah, the mission is quite full on for this one. I found myself in a little bit of a rut, health-wise, mentally. It's just the whole. You talk about holistic awareness. Holistically, I'm in a bit of a rut. I respond well to hardcore challenges, and one of the most hardcore I can think of is, taking control of my diet to this level. We spoke
about this last week with the, some people like to dial things back and slowly ease in. They go to the swimming pool and they dip their toe in and then they put their foot in and their leg in, and other people just need to jump in. So that's how I went into carnivore. Yeah, big bomb in the deep end, a big suey off the 10 meter.
Is there any other way?
Yeah, that's it. So that's just so the audience can understand where you're coming from. That's the kind of the approach that we're taking with this one. Benny has just jumped in. So give us a rundown, Benny. How many days in are you now? And yep, we can talk about the cough in a minute. Yeah, let's talk about the cough in a minute.
Keto flu. So I met with you last Friday, I think. And when I met with you last Friday, I was 2 days in to Lion diet, which is just pure beef. But I would say now coming into 7, 8, 9 days, I've been 9 days pure carnivore. Feeling the body change.
Yeah. So today, obviously, a bit under the weather today, a bit sick today.
The last 3 days, I'm actually doing.
Yeah, last 3 days.
Yeah.
So got a dreaded virus that's been going around.
Double whammy.
Yeah. So let's talk about the shock to the system and the keto flu that can sometimes present itself, which is probably you've got an actual virus, but maybe your immune system was weakened a little bit because of the jump to carnivore. So how have you been going with, say, electrolytes and things like that this week? Have you been intaking salt?
Yeah.
Water?
So what I could control was what I ingested. So I've been doing about 4 liters of water. I'm doubling down on calcium, potassium, magnesium, crikey, and phosphorus. I'm taking
Potassium, you mean?
Potassium, not phosphorus.
Yeah, not phosphorus. Don't take phosphorus.
Real hardcore. And potassium, that's right. And I must say, I have cheated with lemon juice. I've had lots and lots of lemon juice because I've always treated a cold with a hot toddy, hot whiskey and some lemon juice. So
right, that's it. We're gonna have to take away your carnivore card. Come on, hand it over. Yeah, that's right.
I think the last few days, I'm not a big fan on taking over the counter drugs a lot of the time. I might put a bit of Vicks on my chest and on my feet, but at the end of the day, a bit of a boost in vitamin C. I'm hoping I can get over this quite quickly.
Yeah. Well, actually, vitamin C. Little bit of interesting facts about vitamin C is that it competes with, or it is recepted in the same receptors as carbohydrates. So from my understanding, when you reduce your carbohydrates, you allow more room for the vitamin C to come in. So hopefully, a bit of vitamin C, but if you're having it with honey, that may detract from the vitamin C uptake. So, maybe if you're taking them in pill form in supplement tablets, chewables,
I'm taking chewable vitamin C as well.
Yeah. So maybe have them with your steak or whatever. So have them with your meal, but not with honey. So if you are going to have a hot toddy later, do that at a different time. Yeah, give that a go.
I prepped at the beginning of the week for hopefully an event-free week ahead, and I cooked up a side of Scotch fillet, sort of 5 kilograms of Scotch fillet, cooked it all up at steak,
Beautiful.
and sliced them all up into little takeaway containers to have at the office. Made up boiled up 2 chickens for some bone broth, just to have on the go. So I had it all there, but when I was sick on Wednesday, I couldn't really eat anything.
Yeah.
Drink
It
some
all goes
bone.
out the window, doesn't it?
Yeah, I couldn't eat anything. So I drank some bone broth, had a hot toddy, and had a couple of days rest. But back on it today. I've had 3 eggs this morning, and
Fantastic.
chicken. Yeah, and I'm feeling.
Your hunger signals have come back?
They weren't there. I didn't feel hungry, but I knew I needed to get something in my stomach, and I felt better through it. So yeah, that was about 11 o'clock brunch time. I had that.
Yeah. So it's obviously, it's important that we rest when we're sick and ill like this, and we allow the body time to recover. So listen to your body as far as hunger signaling goes. Try not to allow cravings, because I think we spoke about this last week with like the dopamine cravings.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're feeding, the honey, the hot toddies, etc., try to be mindful that doesn't turn into, I need a hot toddy like for the next week,
Sure.
Because that's just like a sugar hit.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah. And even though I said I haven't had the hunger vibes, I've certainly had cravings that if I hadn't had a coach and if I weren't accountable to you, I would have definitely had some strawberries or a pot of ice cream, because my body, especially with my throat being so raw, I was screaming for some ice cream. And if it was just me, I would have got some and made an excuse to say, hey, I'm ill, I can start next week. But
that's right, yeah.
the hot toddy, I think I've been pretty. And coffee, I'm still drinking coffee, so I don't know where that fits into it, but I'm drinking it black. Other than the hot toddies and the coffee, I've been pretty straight down the line.
I've been drinking coffee the whole time I've been carnivore, and I know that's going to ruffle some feathers. Some people are about it, some people are against it, and I don't think it's really served me any purpose other than I enjoy coffee, and I've been addicted to it. I've been drinking coffee for, I don't know, my whole adult life. So giving up coffee when it's my last vice is going to be difficult. Especially like this week, which separate to this recording, I'm also celebrating my carniversary today. So 2 years today I've been carnivore. So today I've had a coffee this morning at the business meeting. I've had breakfast. I've had bacon and eggs for breakfast. I've had a steak for lunch, a huge steak. I just cooked up the most, it was amazing. But yeah, for the next couple of days, I'm going to do a fast. So no coffee, no food, just water and electrolytes. But as far as...
When you say electrolytes, are you actually having an electrolyte supplement, or are you just putting salt in water?
Or just salt in water. And I've got some magnesium tablets, which I do take from time to time. Now, one of the mentions about coffee is that being a diuretic, it does deplete the body of magnesium and calcium and some of the other electrolytes such as potassium and chloride and stuff like that. So if you are going to drink coffee, make sure that you are having plenty of electrolytes. Now, that could be in the form of salts, it could be in the form of supplements, could be in the form of electrolyte tablets. And then just be aware that, coffee, caffeine is a stimulant. It will affect your sleep. So it has a very long half-life. So when you drink it in the morning, try to finish coffee before midday, because otherwise you'll still be buzzing at 10 p.m. or whatever. So try. The
irony is the coffee replacements, which I have looked at now and then. There's some good ones which people swear by, but they're all mushroom,
Yeah.
options like
And
reishi.
I haven't really done any research on them, so I can't really comment on the mushroom stuff. I did hear recently, it was just on a podcast, I haven't looked into it, but there is a compound that gives you a similar effect to caffeine. I'll have to look it up. Leave that with me. I'll do some homework. But it's like a coffee alternative, I guess.
What are your thoughts on teas, green teas, oolong teas? Is
Yeah.
that part of it? Because they're still plant focused.
Yeah, well, I mean, coffee is a plant, tea is a plant. These are all plants. So to be, the lion diet enthusiasts will say, no tea, no coffee, no nothing, just meat, salt, and water, right? And that's very difficult to do, really. It's, I guess, the differentiating factor between coffee and tea is really just the amount of caffeine that's in it. So the price you pay is going to be, are you sensitive to caffeine? Are you sensitive to the coffee beans? Are you sensitive to tea? Which one, if you're going to get, like, say, a skin condition or something, which one is causing the skin condition? I don't know. We'd have to test.
I'd love to go into that a little bit and the different levels of discipline within the carnivore diet, because with coffee and tea, it's certainly not a calorie conversation, and it's also not a is it knocking you out of ketosis conversation, because it probably has impact on either of those. One of the big reasons why I want to do this is through the stress and this rut I'm in, my skin is reacting badly.
Yeah, we talked about that last week.
Isolate what that problem is. So can you talk a little bit about the different levels of discipline? Carnivore challenge?
So I guess in the carnivore space, the popular styles of carnivore, I guess, would be probably starting with a B, 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 and E. Actually, I'll rewind a fair way. So let's talk about just nutrition plans in general. So we could start with a whole food based diet, which would be the eradication of everything processed. So it's meat, eggs, dairy, vegetables, fruits, etc. That's all like whole food. Like the ingredient is apple or the ingredient is steak. It's not, steak flavored derivative 876 or whatever, Then I would probably, next step up from that would probably be a ketogenic diet, which is meat, veggies, fruit, etc. But you're limiting the carbohydrates with an aim.
5 grams a day or something like that?
Yeah, it depends on the level of keto as well. Like there's, you could be under 100, you could be under 50, you could be under 30. I mean, I would classify under 30 as that's probably a good ketogenic diet sort of to set your mind to. So keto, and then we can go, so that's, animal based with carbohydrates and some vegetables. And then we go to carnivore, which carnivore is the eradication of all plant sources. So no carbohydrates, no vegetables, no fruits. We end up being in this ketogenic state by default because we're not intaking any carbs to speak of. But then let's talk about the branches of carnivore, which would be, let's probably start with B, 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 and E. So 3 Bs and an E. So beef, bacon, butter, and eggs. And some people include dairy, which I did. When I started carnivore, I was B, 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 and E plus cheese and also coffee. So
all cheeses or just hard cheese? Does all cheese count?
I was eating cheddar just because I enjoy cheddar. I mean, dairy, all forms of dairy are essentially the same output. There's different levels of lactose. So if I'm pretty lactose intolerant, so cheese only has like the tiniest amount of lactose, so it doesn't really cause me any issues. If I have lactose milk, I do get issues. The sort of the dairy side of things, some people are sensitive to the proteins in dairy. So I think that's me included. Like I've been drinking milk for all this time, and I've been carnivore for 2 years, but I have been drinking milk. So, and I've still got some skin issues. So I'd like to clean them up. So that's what I'm sort of doing this week, is going to reset. So I'm going to do this 7-day fast if I can make it that far. And then after the fast, I'm going to continue with Lion Diet for as long as I can sustain that for. So whether that be a month, 2 months, 3 months, I don't know, until I get, if I get bored of it or if I feel amazing, then I'll keep doing it.
And that's just beef and salt.
Yeah, so Lion Diet is just red meat, salt and water. So that could be beef. I mean, it doesn't have to be red meat, I guess, but it's just meat. So no coffee, no tea, no milk, no sugars, no biscuits on the weekend, no, chocolate bar on Saturday night. Because I have been guilty of that. When my niece had her birthday party, I had ice cream. When it was Christmas dinner, I had some trifle and desserts and cake, and I haven't been too strict upon myself. So yeah,
Some coaches would argue that cheat meal, the fun for social occasions, fun for the good for the psyche. Some coaches argue cheat meals are a good thing. But when you're in something like ketosis or a carnivore diet, how does that affect going in and out of ketosis? And is it actually a bad?
So a cheat meal in this context is probably a bad idea. So what I know happens with me, so from my own personal experience, if I have that ice cream or if I have that bowl of dessert or piece of cake, I do feel the effects. And honestly, I feel like I get a bit like hyper, a bit high because I'm on all the sugar. And then the next day or a few hours later, I get the crash because, I've sort of got a big insulin spike and then a blood glucose drop. And then the next day I might even feel like I've got a hangover. And if I train pretty hard physically in the gym, my training program is across the week. I do polarized training. So it's, some days it's easy and some days it's super hard, really intense. And it does affect my workouts and my recovery and my sleep and all that kind of stuff if I have sugar, throughout the week, so to speak. So yeah, so having a cheat meal is just going to kind of reset you back to day one, if that makes sense. So if you're 7 days or 30 days into carnivore and then you have a big bowl of ice cream, you kind of reset back to day one again. You've broken your ketosis chain. That sort of ride, that wave that you've been riding where you've, blood sugar started off up here and then we've gone into ketosis and the blood sugar's probably dropped and then it's leveled out and it's just kind of flatlined. And every time if you do a cheat meal, like a bad one, you're going to get this big spike, big drop, and then it's going to have to ride out again.
Well, your body's just waiting for the sugar again, isn't it? It thinks there's going to be a source of lazy energy that it can work with. Yeah,
it is. And I think my personal feelings on, a lot of people say that glucose is the body's preferred fuel source. I don't believe the body has a preferred fuel source. It just has the fuel sources that are available to it because they all work at the same time, your cells are intaking blood glucose, turning it into, muscle glycogen and whatnot, and ketones, and they're doing it all day long, 24/7. There's no opinion. They don't care where it comes from. Yeah, the dogs. Yeah. So yeah, I think in the hierarchy of energy consumption or energy usage, the liver prioritizes getting rid of alcohol out of the blood, and then it prioritizes getting rid of fructose, and then sucrose, glucose, carbohydrates, all those sugars. So
my hot toddy was probably the worst thing I could have. All of those.
Yeah, I mean, the amount of the grams of sugar in that hot toddy probably wasn't that high. What was it, like a spoonful of honey or something? How much?
Not even a suggestion of it because I knew it was naughty.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So don't beat yourself up too much about it. Just be aware, every time you have carbohydrates, you potentially reset that cycle. And yeah, you'll get, as we progress, we're only a week in now, when you're 30 days, 60 days, 90 days in, when your body has had a chance to upregulate, the ketoneogenesis pathways, etc., then you're going to be able to switch on and off from ketosis really quickly.
Okay.
So, yeah.
It'll be interesting to measure my ketones as we go through this.
Oh, have you got a ketone measurer, have you?
I've just got to order some strips. So, yeah, okay. Is there a good level that you want to be at to get the benefits? Is there a target that you'd recommend in terms of?
I haven't actually tested myself. I would probably make a note or a comment that the idea of ketosis and carnivore in general is not to be in ketosis like 24/7. So when you eat a meal, like if you eat, like if I have one meal a day like I am now, so that's about 1 kilo of meat. Well, I'm gonna knock myself out of ketosis because it's just such a large amount of protein and fats that the body, it will take its time and it will use all those building blocks, but it does kind of bump you into a bit of blood glucose because you're well fed, and then you're going to sort of take a little while to drop into ketosis again. And I don't think I've heard some other people in this space talking about long-term 24/7 ketosis is not really the best thing to do. Yeah. So yeah.
Okay.
Make sure you're allowing the sort of the standard cycle to still continue.
You want to talk about how we're going to measure the changes over the next couple of months and what we're working towards?
Yep. So just for the audience and everyone at home that's watching, we've had Benny do an eVolt scan, which is a body impedance analysis machine, and that is one of those scales where you have handles and little patches to step on with your feet, sends electrical signals through the body. So Benny has done one of these scans, and we have his data. So we have his weight, we have his body fat percentage, we have various other statistics there to look at. The main ones is going to be visceral fat and body fat. We're going to look at those pretty strongly over the next 12 weeks that we're going to do this show for. So yeah, we're going to have some objective measurements, and it's going to be awesome.
And it's important to note, I think, that this really, this cast, these episodes, is really all about the effects that nutrition or a focused diet can have, because we rarely talk about any exercise. And I'm your layman, your average there. I might do 5,000 or 7,000 incidental steps a day, going from meeting to meeting. I might go to the gym once, maybe twice a week, but I'm certainly not, training like an elite athlete to get these results. So I really do want to see the effect that a really decent disciplined diet can have mentally, physically, over the next 12 weeks.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing, right? I think we're going to see a lot of changes fairly rapidly. There might be a plateau here or there. We might not always feel great. Like today, a little bit under the weather. But the main thing is keep soldiering on as your body loses some of the inflammation, as we heal a few things, because we're feeding it lots of nutrition now, so we're feeding it everything that the body needs. Hopefully there'll be a bit of a light bulb moment somewhere where you'll wake up one day full of energy and you'll probably want to run to the gym and do a bunch of weights. Yeah.
Well, right now, the eVolt score came back with a biological age of 55 years old. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Not quite that old yet.
Into the gyms. I'd be quite happy if that comes down to my actual age of 44. That was the first light bulb moment, seeing that.
It's a very good scanner. It is a bit rough though how it gives you an age.
Yeah, no warning, just straight out facts.
Yeah. So let's talk about how you've gone this week with your meals. Mm-hmm. What have you eaten this week?
Okay, so I've recorded
the last couple of days. We've gotten a little bit sick and we've had some hot toddies.
your app and MyFitnessPal. So to start off with, really easy. I wasn't eating breakfast. I was waking up, having 2 black coffees, going to the gym with my cold sliced steak and eating 500 to 600 grams of cold sliced steak at the office with salt. Nice, easy. Sometimes cold, sometimes microwave to warm it all up. So it kept me interested. And then coming home for dinner, would have either a glass of broth before bed, and I slept quite well after a glass of broth, to be honest with you. Or if I was really hungry, another steak. But that was just the one day I had the steak. I wasn't that hungry. And then Tuesday I did the same, but my appetite started to go because I was getting sick. And then Wednesday cactus, Thursday cactus, and today getting a little bit better. Next week, the plan is the same, just to really eat at lunchtime, take things to the office prepared. I'll take a bit of chicken, a bit of steak. Ali will get some salmon steaks as well in cryovac. So if I just want something a little bit of a different fat in the evening, I'll have a nice salmon steak to spice things up. The chicken bone broths are actually very nice and very comforting to drink. So I haven't felt like I've been missing out on anything yet, and I haven't really struggled with what, other than just my appetite hasn't been there.
Yeah, well, hopefully the appetite starts coming back soon, post-virus.
I could eat a kilo steak and still keep going. So, yeah, I think the appetite needs to come back a little bit.
Yeah. Have you got any butter? Have you?
Yeah, got some good butter. I fried the steak up in butter.
Yeah. I'll encourage you to use, tallow, butter, ghee, etc. in your cooking. Get a little bit extra fat, because we need to make sure that we've got enough fat to overcome the lack of carbohydrates.
Okay. I'm avoiding oils. I'm avoiding seed oils and things like that.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, so stay away from all the seed oils. The animal fats, we can sort of up that a little bit. And you might feel a bit weird at first, like, slicing a piece of butter and putting it on top of your steak when you're eating your steak. Like,
not at all. I love it.
Like nowadays, I can just slice off a piece of butter and just eat it, like a snack. So
very nice.
Yeah, but yeah, I'll encourage you to eat fat. It will do you wonders.
I'll boil up some trimmings and make some nice clean tallow, a little white tallow, and salt that up for a little bit of a snack.
Yeah, I know you're quite the connoisseur chef, so it'll be interesting to see some of your recipe ideas over the coming weeks, I think, and I think the audience is probably going to love that too.
I'll take some photos.
Yeah, for a bit of context, Benny is in the hospitality industry, has been for a very long time, so he rubs shoulders with a lot of chefs, and you've quite well fed most of the time, aren't you? So,
well, what did you call me? I've got a really intimate relationship with food, mate, and this is why I don't do good with moderation. In terms of I'm out and about all the time, and in restaurants and pubs all the time, and because I'm there visiting chefs that I know, they're quite excited to showcase what they've got. And if I say I can have that but not this, or have that but not that, it just makes for a little bit of a awkward conversation. But right now, with this hard discipline, it's just I can't do that right now. I'll see you in a couple of months, which makes it easier. But I do need, just for the spirit and for my mental well-being, I do need to make the food interesting. So I will be getting a bit creative to see what I can do with the limited ingredients to make it interesting and a bit of fun.
Yeah, I'm not much of a connoisseur, so I've found a bunch of different ways to cook steak, and a bunch of different ways to cook eggs, and a bunch of different ways to mix a bit of cheese in, or butter, or I've had some yogurt, etc. when I was eating dairy.
Mm-hmm.
So you can go a fair way on animal products.
Mm-hmm.
There's loads of recipes online where people have made carnivore pizza, carnivore chocolate, carnivore this, carnivore that. So yeah, I'll be interested to see what you experiment with. Things like butter bites, where caramelize butter and then sort of freeze it into little sort of chocolate-sized pieces.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you can mix
So you can
bacon through with that as well. That'd be gorgeous. All right.
yeah.
I'm going to make some jerky. I'm going to hang some jerky in the shed or some biltong during the day, because that's always good.
Awesome.
Mm.
Okay, well, you mentioned moderation and balance. So I guess to end out this show, and let's close on a little talk about balance. And I think balance is a fallacy. Balance is a lie. Balance is where progress goes to die. Okay? So if you're balancing on one leg, that's balancing, right? That's balancing yourself in space. If you're balancing your meals, then you're really doing yourself a disservice. If you're balancing your forward momentum with your rearward momentum, guess what? You're standing still.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think balance, like I said, balance is a fallacy, balance is a lie, balance is where progress goes to die. All right.
I didn't expect you to be agreeing with me then. I thought, okay, I'm going to have a bit of a lesson here, but okay, good.
Yeah, well, balance.
I agree.
Like the race car analogy, I'm not sure if I've made the race car analogy with you before, but if you have a diesel truck, you put diesel in it. If you have a Toyota Corolla, you put just any old fuel in it from the petrol station. If you have a race car, you buy race fuel.
Mm-hmm.
All right. The race car probably won't run on diesel too well. It might run a little bit, but it's gonna run very badly. The race car will run unleaded from the Corolla, but it's not going to be making power. It's probably going to blow up the engine. So the race car wants race fuel, and nobody complains when you put race fuel in a race car. So your body in this context is the race car. So
I feel a little bit more like the big diesel tanker. But if you want to call me a race car, that's fine.
Yeah, if you want to identify it as a Land Cruiser, that's cool, man.
Pure diesel diet for the next 12 weeks.
Yeah, that's it.
Good. All right. And I really do appreciate you holding me to account. As I say, I felt already this week the benefits of being accountable to somebody else. Even though we work in communication, it's not just about me not letting me down, but we've got a mission together now, and I'm excited.
Yeah, man, I'm here for it. I'm here to help you. Let's find a way. Let's get it done, eh?
Here we go. Thanks for having me on the cast, mate.
No worries. All right. Signing out.
See you later. Bye.